slave to fear.
Real Cuff Radio is about to begin.
I am a child of God. I'm no
Everybody
longer
loves a hero.
slave to fear.
I believe there's a hero in all of us.
I am a child.
Well, welcome to Real Cup Radio, and I'm excited tonight. This guest doesn't even need an introduction. You know, he's got 11 gold records. He's a 5-time Grammy winner. He is the 60th member of the Grand Ole Opry, and he's also got the first Christian album that went platinum. And the list goes on. Mr. B.J. Thomas, how are you tonight?
Hey, very, very well, Todd. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Sandra is on tonight, too. How are you, Sandra?
I'm well, Todd. I'm well, and I'm very excited.
Oh, good. Well, good. Well, great.
Well, you know, there's so many other things that I could say about you, too, because you're also an author, you know, songwriter. You know, you're the singer. You've been a movie star. I didn't know this one, but the Super Bowl halftime you played. I would love to see you play again at the Super Bowl halftime because I'm kind of getting tired of what we've been watching the last couple of years. Yeah, there's so many things. One of the things I saw is that you really got started as singing as a child in a church.
Well, I wasn't exactly a child. I was probably around 12, brother and I, when we discovered the church, and we weren't raised going to church. Kind of discovered that and the music and in the church around 12 years of age, and you know, I loved the music right off, and of course, you know, all the other kids that were involved in the church and the service. So that was a great thing. We used to love to go to church. We loved to get up and sing, and we had a quartet, and you know, we would just, that music has always been some of my favorite music.
A lot of the songs that you have sung over the years have majorly been used in different movies. One of the things is I got a couple of your albums and started playing them just recently before we were going to do this interview. And my 10-year-old daughter, I mean, after playing them a day or two, I already hear her singing them walking around. And I'm thinking, you know, there is better music out there than what's out there now. And to see it influence somebody that quickly, I would love to see more kids hear your music.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's great. I'm glad it had that. I'm glad she liked it.
You know, your whole life speaks of restoration that only comes from the Lord. You've had ups and downs and a lot of things that you've gone through in your life, how God has brought restoration. So I know that you're going to speak tonight. So many are living in condemnation of things in the past. So I know your testimony is going to bring all that about good out for others to hear. That was all. Well,
you know, I'm not. You know, I had my spiritual awakening, and you know, of course, I have a faith and beliefs that I live by. But you know, I don't necessarily, you know, consider people to be condemned. You know, I think everybody has to make their own way, and I think everybody will, you know, get to where they need to be in their own time. I do believe in a higher power, and I believe that faith has grown because, you know, especially you can see in our country where we have so many different ethnic groups and different people from many countries. That's what our country's always been made up of. So I think we have to, you know, be a little open to all beliefs and all faiths, and believe that you know, the higher power is a part of most everything that's going on.
There's something amazing about you is you have been married to the same wife for how many years now?
Well, we'll be married 50 years this year, so yeah, great.
But but you got to understand that is a major thing, especially, I mean, you know, for any kind of star nowadays. I mean, you know, all you see in the tabloids is that they got divorced.
Well, believe me, I really understand it and appreciate how lucky I've been, because even if I'd never had any success in music, I still have had a wonderful family and children and grandchildren, and I've had a great marriage. So that's the important kind of the essence of my life, really.
Yeah. Speaking of children, your daughter Nora was adopted from Korea.
Yes, she was born in Seoul, Korea, and we adopted Nora when she was around 7 or 8 months old, and she's just been a wonderful child, and she's a wonderful person, and I have 2 granddaughters from Nora, and yeah, it's been just a wonderful experience all the way around.
Well, I wanted to make sure I mentioned that because we have right across the street from me, so we should have about 600 Korean young students coming in very soon here. They just purchased a piece of land across the road. What's the name of the organization?
It's JAMA, J-A-M-A.
So they will, they'll be glad to hear that. They'll become your biggest fan.
Nora's been a great experience. Of course, she's an American. She's an American now, and it's a good thing. I think our country has always offered a lot of good things for people who, can be in a situation where they can just about be anything they want to be. So that's been wonderful.
That's good.
Well, tell us about, you've been touring. Where do you usually go play? And, is it mostly Vegas?
Well, no, but I do, right now I'm working the Golden Nugget casinos throughout the country. There's 5 of them, Atlantic City and Vegas and what have you. But, we work all over. We occasionally go to South America and Australia. And so, we work the States, Canada. We were in Alaska a couple of years ago, so we're always moving. I've always kind of been we work from Branson to New York and whatever. So we're all over.
Does your wife travel with?
She used to travel with me all the time when we were first married, and of course, we and even the children have spent a lot of time on the road and travel with me quite a bit. So. But she doesn't go with me that much anymore, but she will go occasionally if I'm working a place that she'd like to go see,
I assume you still live in Texas.
I'm still living in Texas, and we've lived in Memphis. When we first got married, we lived in Memphis, and then we lived in New York City for a while. Came back to Texas years ago. We've had this, we got a great place down here. We've been for a long time. And we'll probably always be here.
About 30 years ago, we'd get a canoe at Christmas time and go and sing carols down the little back river, if that's still...
Yeah, the name of it slips me. Yeah, they still do that, yeah.
Is there anything you really want to ask?
Name a few of your favorite songs and how those came about, and... Yeah, I'd like to hear some of his back history, and then I know he's shared some.
What would you like to hear about? Tell me now.
Raindrops. Everybody singing that, and just a bunch of them I looked through, and what were the albums and stuff that came out?
I was with Scepter Records after I had I'm So Lonesome, and a big part of their company was Burt Bacharach and Hal David, and they wrote and produced. Songs on a lot of people. They were part owners of Scepter Records. Of course, Dionne Warwick was their main say on that label back then, and then Burt and Hal wrote a lot of their material. So as soon as I went with Scepter, they were wanting me to record with Mr. Bacharach and Hal David. So eventually, right after I had Hooked on a Feeling, I was kind of in the back of Burt's mind when they created the song Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head for the Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid movie. And it obviously was not a Dionne Warwick song. So I was kind of there, right? I was selling a lot of records right at that moment. And so I was kind of in the right place at the right time. And a good friend of mine who I'd grown up with in Houston Steve Tyrell also was with the label. He was the A&R director of Scepter. He was a part of getting me that chance, and I began to work with Mr. Bacharach and go over songs. After they wrote Raindrops, so they picked me to sing it, and I sang it to the score and the soundtrack, the bicycle scene in Butch Cassidy, and it became a big record, my biggest record, and of course, but that song's been a big part of my life, and I do that every time I perform, and really glad to do it.
Yeah, when I was looking through a lot of them, have you really written any yourself that you love?
Oh, I've written a few songs, but that's probably one of my shortcomings is I haven't been the writer I should be, and I do write a lot of songs. Just I have a lot of songs that I've written, but I haven't had any songs that were hit records. I've had a couple of B-sides to some of my hits, but I need to do better at that.
Well, it's probably still in you to come forth. Just any age, when they hear your music and going back and looking at all the ones that are listed, especially in Wikipedia, it just brings a smile to your faces. You brought such joy and memories to so many generations. I just thank you for really sharing with us and sharing some of your heart and your family, and this was really exciting. This was very exciting.
Thank you very much.
I recently heard you singing that it was something that somebody sent me, that your voice, you still got a very good voice. Most people as they get older, their voice is not as good as yours. It's still going.
Well, that's very nice. That's very nice for you to say. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Are you recording anything new right now?
Yeah, I'm about to do a project with Steve Tyrell. We're going to do a classic Burt Bacharach album. We're going to probably get that recorded this summer. We'll be letting you know a little more about that as we do it. But I'm excited about that. I've had a lot of history with Mr. Bacharach and Hal David, and recorded quite a few of their songs. And so we're going to go in the studio and do the classic songs that they've written. Some of the greatest. I just think one of the greatest composers, writers of all time, and a great songwriting and composing team. And we got a lot of history, so, we're going to go in the studio and hopefully we'll get it done this summer, and I'll let you know when it's coming out.
All right, that sounds fantastic. I don't want to take up a lot of your time, but, Mom, if you have nothing else.
No, I just enjoyed listening to this.
All right.
Well, thank you. I so enjoyed talking to you, and great meeting your mom, and thank you, Todd.
We'll be looking forward to some of that coming out in the future.
Great. Oh, great. Thank you.
I'm going to say that's a wrap.
Hey, this is Real Cuff, and I want to thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. YouTube completely removed our channel for a couple of years, but now we're back. Thank you.